I perhaps interest you in some trinkets?
If you're wondering how much content a person can make about a 4-day trip to Edinburgh, the answer is endless amounts. I cannot be stopped. If you haven't watched my Edinburgh vlog, you can click on it here in the corner if you're interested in watching that. This is the haul. This is everything I bought during my 4 days in Edinburgh. And I am embarrassed to say that I spent an ungodly amount of money in those 4 days. I don't even know what happened. I just sort of got blinded by the beauty and splendor of it all, and I just went a little crazy. And I figured it's okay because I've been wanting to go to Edinburgh for years. I had all of these shops that I went to saved for years, so I kind of gave myself a free pass. But yeah, it also means that I spend so much money in January that I basically have to do a low buy year for the rest of the year. But that's alright, because I already decided I'm not going to buy any books this year, which will help greatly, to be honest. So it's all good. And now we can enjoy the splendor of my insane spending. So let's get into it. I have some books, I have some witchy things, I have some jewelry. Let's start with what I'm wearing actually. I bought this floor-length denim dress at a vintage shop called Armstrong Vintage. As far as I could tell, they had at least 2 locations in the city, and it had also been recommended to me a few times before going. So it was definitely on my list of visiting, and it was amazing. They had so many things. I could have stayed in there for hours, to be honest, but I had very limited suitcase space. So I tried to not look too closely at everything because I was scared I would find too many clothes I wanted and then I would not be able to take them home. So that was a little bit sad because it was such a good vintage shop. But they did have a large selection of denim dresses, and I have been looking for the perfect long denim dress for so long. And when I saw this one, I was like, that one is perfect. So for that one, I will make some space in my suitcase. And I'm really happy I got it. I think I can style it in so many different ways. It's very Phoebe Buffet. So yeah, that was a great buy, but that's all I got in terms of clothing. Let's move on to jewelry, because if you follow me on anywhere else, like on any other platform, or if you watch the vlog, you know that there's a jewelry shop in Edinburgh that I am completely obsessed with. I found them on TikTok prior to my visit, and I just fell in love with their rings. They are so unique and just very whimsical. Like, they look straight out of Charmed. As soon as I saw one video, I was like, this is going to be my first stop in Edinburgh. This is amazing. I have never seen anything like this before. I need to have these rings. So yeah, my first afternoon there, I immediately went to this shop. There was a huge storm outside, so I was like sort of like going over the Royal Mile in this huge wind. It was so cold, and then like I stumbled into the shop. It was super tiny. I was the only one there, and yeah, it was just so lovely. I talked to the girl there. I said I had watched their TikToks, and she was like, "Oh my god, I make these TikToks," and we just started chatting. And she said like, "Well, everything is in glass cabinets, but you can just open the door. Go crazy, have fun, just try on what you want to try on, and do tell me if you need any help." So I was like, say no more. And honestly, I stayed there so long. I was having the best time of my life. All of their stuff was absolutely gorgeous. All the stones in there are ethically sourced by the owner of the brand. He actually travels around the world to mine all the stones. There's a lot of native Scottish stones in there, and everything was just absolutely gorgeous. And I knew I wanted a set of rings in different like brighter colors that would complement each other. So I was just trying everything on, seeing whatever matched, and yeah, it was amazing. And this is what I landed on. I just put them all on one hand now so you can see them. Yeah, I'm absolutely in love with them. I think the color combination is so great. If I remember correctly, this yellow one is a sunstone. This one is a ruby, and this one is a sapphire, which she told me are actually the same stone, but they grow differently, or they're like treated differently. I don't remember exactly, but that was super interesting. And yeah, I wish I could have bought so many more, but they're not super pricey, but it's real silver and real gemstones, so the prices generally lay between 50 and 150 pounds. So yeah, 3 was definitely enough for my budget this time, but I will definitely be back there someday or order online from them, because this is everything I could want in jewelry and more. I love them. And she packed the rings in this adorable little tartan bag, and they're tiny, cute little bags. Oh, I'm gonna keep these. They're so adorable. Then I followed a journal making workshop in a shop called Wheel of Faith, which is a witchy esoteric kind of shop. I don't really remember how I found their workshop. I think I was just stalking them on Instagram or something. But yeah, they give different kind of workshops. A broomstick making workshop, which is one I would have loved to do. But yeah, I could not take a broomstick home in my suitcase, unfortunately. I think there's a yarn spinning workshop and yeah, the journal making workshop. And I decided to do that one because journals are something I actually use a lot. So that was a great souvenir. When I got there, it turned out I was the only one who signed up for the workshop because it was very much low season in January, so it was not that crowded. So I got a little private workshop, which was actually really lovely. The girl who helped me, I think her name was Catherine, if I remember correctly, was so lovely. She gave me so many tips of things to see around Edinburgh. We just talked about like all the witchy spots there. It was really fun, and the workshop was also really great. Like I already talked about it a lot in my vlog, but yeah, basically you make a journal from scratch. So you punch all the paper, you thread the paper, put it in like your leather cover. I don't really know the correct terms, but yeah, everything you see here was made from scratch. And then the main show of it was that you can do an etching of the letter on the outside, and this is my creation. They have stencils for this. I didn't make this design. And of course I chose the most ambitious stencil, so I could only get the outline done while I was in the workshop because the workshop was 2 hours. So I had to finish it in the hotel room, which was fine. It was a very relaxing thing to do. Like one morning I actually woke up at 5. Like when I'm traveling, I always wake up so early because I'm so excited about the day. But I had to wait for my boyfriend to wake up, so I just sat down and finished my etching. You just need like a sharp tool, like a needle or a toothpick or something. And yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. I love her. I think I'm gonna be afraid to use it. I'm gonna try to use it. Maybe I will use this as like my grimoire, like my magic journal. That would be so fun, because Edinburgh really inspired me to get back into the craft a little bit more. Like when I lived alone, I used to do a lot more like spells and rituals and meditations, but now with my boyfriend I just feel a little bit awkward. Like I don't have a room of my own here, which is something I'm really craving sometimes for stuff like that. So yeah, I've not been practicing the craft as maybe I would have wanted to, but Edinburgh really inspired me. It was actually so funny because we went to one of the witchy stores there called Moon Botanica, and I went to the counter and paid for my stuff, and the girl started talking to me. She was like, oh, I love these, I use them in my spell work all the time. And I just saw my boyfriend's eyes going wide next to me, thinking like, oh my god, people actually do this. And it was just so hilarious. I was like, yeah, people do this and I love it. Like it was just so normalized there. Like here in Italy, I never run into people who are into witchcraft or anything like that. So yeah, I really loved being able to talk freely about all that stuff in Edinburgh. It was amazing. But yeah, if you are ever in Edinburgh, highly recommend doing this workshop, or probably the other workshops are also great, but I'm really happy with my end results. Of course, the Wheel of Fate was not the only witchy shop I visited in Edinburgh. I literally had a list of all the shops I wanted to visit, and my favorite one by far was Moon Botanica. The one I just mentioned. They had 2 locations. I only went to the one in Candlemaker Row, I believe it was called. I know they also have one in Amsterdam, and I'm going to Amsterdam at the end of February, so maybe I will have to visit again. But yeah, this was my favorite. It was just so magical inside. The atmosphere was so good. They had so many great things, like also things specifically made by them, which I really enjoyed. So let me show you what I got there. I honestly could have gotten so many things, but I tried to hold myself back a little because I also knew that I was in this sort of like bubble of Edinburgh and witchy things, and I was like, am I actually gonna use all these things at home? Maybe not. So I tried to stay rational, but it was hard. It was hard, guys, because it was just so magical in there. But my favorite things that I got there are probably these perfume oils. They had a lot of perfume oils, all made by them. They had so many different kinds, and I smelled all of them, and these were my favorites. I have Mercury Retrograde and Beltane. Beltane smells really... it smells like jasmine. Is that possible? Jasmine is one of my favorite smells, so it actually makes sense that I picked this one. It smells so good. And Mercury Retrograde smells... ooh. This just smells really mysterious. I don't really know how to describe it. Like sort of both sweet and magical. They're so good. I've been using Mercury Retrograde a lot, and I also love the packaging. The packaging for everything was so on point in the shop. Really cute, and you can just pop these in your bag because they're so small. Obsessed. Then I got a little spell jar with a ritual incense blend. This one is called Divine Feminine, and the description said this one is for enhancing your intuition, your creativity, and your self-confidence. And like I'm back in my novel writing phase, so this is something I could really use because every time I have to make progress in my novel, I just sort of panic and lose all faith in myself and my abilities. So hopefully I can do a little confidence and creativity ritual with this incense. Then lastly, I got some runestones. I feel most attracted to divination tools. I love my tarot cards. I actually use them a lot. Like whenever I am distressed, I will pull out my tarot cards. So I have been really curious about runestones as well. And there's actually a scene in my novel where I want the main character to use runestones in her spell work. So I actually have to know how they work in order to be able to do that. So when I saw these, I was like, this is perfect. I want to get these. And the thing is, I don't know what possessed me. I think I was just overwhelmed by everything. But I just grabbed the bag randomly and I was like, yeah, I'll take this one. But what I didn't see is there was a sign saying they had different kinds of stones for the rune stones. So I just randomly grabbed this one. This is the carnelian stone. And I'm not a big fan of orange. So when I discovered later that I just randomly bought these and they had like obsidian, amethyst stones, I was a little bit sad. But then I looked up the meaning of carnelian and it turned out this one is also for creativity, intuition, and confidence. So I was like, okay, this is probably a sign that I need to keep these. There was a reason I picked these up and not one of the others. So I've made my peace with it. Yeah, they're just crystals with the runes etched into it. And then they had a bunch of books on how to actually read the runes because I have no idea how to do that. They had so many gorgeous ones, but I had no idea which one to pick, which one was the best. So I asked the girl working there, like, can you recommend me one of the books? And she said this one. And I was like, I was afraid you were going to say that because this is literally the only one with an ugly cover. And she was like, yeah, but this is really the best one for beginners. Like, cover doesn't always say it all. Truly, often when it comes to the books about magic, the more like beautifully illustrated the book, the less good it's going to be in terms of the content, which makes sense because I feel like those books kind of play into the hype and the aesthetic of it and not the actual craft. So I took her for her word. I got this book. I haven't started it yet, but I'm really excited. So basically what I already learned is that the runes are basically a really ancient alphabet from the Neolithic period. So they're not magical symbols. They were an alphabet that the people used in that time, which is very fascinating. But yeah, it just talks about every part of the alphabet, the different runes and their meanings. I think it's very similar to how tarot cards work. You can also do different kind of spreads. So I'm very excited to learn more about this and start using them. Oh, I forgot to tell you the name of the book. It's Reading the Runes, A Beginner's Guide by Kim Farnell. So those were all the witchy things I got, and now it's time for the books, because I got quite a few of them, which is kind of ironic given the fact that a few videos down, I literally talked about how I was not going to buy any books this year. But I hadn't booked the Edinburgh trip yet when I said that. Like, that was after, and then I was like, there's no way I'm not going to be able to buy any books in Edinburgh. So this was the exception. The rest of the year is still the plan to not buy any books. But they had so many good bookstores, guys, with so many, like, unique recommendations. So there was no way. I was going to make it without buying any books. So here is the complete pile. I'm going to try to remember which ones I bought where. This one on top is a book that I already started. It's called The Witch and the Priest by Hilda Lewis. I bought this one in Topping and Company booksellers, which was my favorite one. It was so gorgeous. They had a great selection. They had all these cozy little rooms with little seats by the windows. Lovely place. And I read online that usually it's so crowded it's not even fun to go there, but since we were there in January, there was absolutely no one. So I feel actually really lucky that in the end we spontaneously decided to go in January. I've always dreamt of going in October. But I actually think like experience it in low season first was really great because we got to see everything while it was not crowded at all. But about the book, this is a Penguin classic horror. I bought a lot of horror in Edinburgh. I think it was just the atmosphere that I was drawn to those kind of books. Also books about witchcraft, obviously. This is about a priest who condemned 3 witches to burn. And then a year later, he sort of still has a guilty conscience over this. He's doubting if it was the right decision, if they were really witches, and then one of the witches he burned starts visiting him in his dreams and starts talking about all the things she did in her life as a witch and why she did them. It says it's a psychological horror, so I don't expect any like actual horrific things to go down, but more like just the tension between those two characters and what happened between them. The next one is actually one my boyfriend found at a secondhand bookshop called Armchair Books. He grabbed this from the shelves and I was like, oh, I've been meaning to read that for a while. And I was like, £3.80. So he was like, okay, we'll take it. It's a historical fiction, and yeah, basically it's about the Essex Serpent, a sort of like monster of Loch Ness kind of situation. And that's all I know. This one I also got in Topping and Company. It's Narcissus and Gold Moon by Hermann Hesse. This was recommended to me like a while ago, and it's been on my mind ever since, and it sounds really great. It's basically about two monks, Narcissus and Gold Moons, who grow up in a medieval monastery together. But then as they come of age, Goldman realizes that this lifestyle is not for him, and he sets off to travel, experiences a lot of things, a world dominated by sin, plague and war, and then many years later he encounters Narcissus one final time. Brings to life the Middle Ages in all their beauty and horror. This sounds right up my alley. I love books about medieval times. I don't know, that time fascinates me so much. It also sounds like it's going to be a bit of like a philosophical, poetic kind of novel. Yeah, if you've read this, let me know your thoughts, because I'm really fascinated by this. Then two books I got at Waterstones. At the entrance of Waterstones, they have these huge shelves of new hardback fiction. And I don't like hardbacks. I prefer paperback books. But they had so many great books there that I had never heard of before that just completely fascinated me. So I tried to pace myself and not get too many, but I did get two hardback books because they just sounded so good. The first one is The Old Fire by Eliza Schwa-Dusapin. Dusapin? Oh, maybe it's French. Dusapin. Wait, what language was this originally written in? Oh, it was French. Okay, well, I completely butchered that. I'm so sorry. This cover, absolutely stunning. That's definitely what first drew me to this book. It's about two sisters, Agatha, who lives in New York, and she returns to her childhood home in the French countryside after her father's death. She and her sister Vera have not seen each other in all that time apart. As the pair clean and sift through a lifetime's worth of belongings, old memories and resentments surface. Yeah, the description doesn't say a lot, but it was really the blurb that got it for me. It says haunting, enigmatic, beautiful, subtle, propulsive, powerful, like all these words. They got to me, like especially the word haunting. If a book is haunting, I will read it. So really excited about this one. Then probably the book I'm most excited about, it's called Life Cycle of a Moth by Ro Irwin. The description just really got to me. It's about Maya and her daughter. They live in complete isolation in secluded woodland, their days aligned with light and changing seasons, a complex pattern of routine and ritual. But one day, when daughter is almost 16, a red-haired stranger steps into the confines of their territory. Where there were always two, suddenly there are three, and the carefully constructed world that Maya has built to keep her daughter safe may not survive it. This book explores both the tenderness and ferocity of maternal love. Again, sounds so good, and a lot of the reviews on the back say it's very lyrical, and I love books that blend like fiction with more like lyrical poetry kind of writing. So I'm very excited about this. Then there's another book that I had almost gotten at Waterstones, but then decided against it just in case it wouldn't fit in my suitcase, and also it was just a huge hardback. But then later my boyfriend went to Blackwell's, which is another bookshop, and he saw the book for half price there, so he got it for me, which is super sweet. And it's Sunstruck by William Rayford Hunter. This book sounds like a mix between Saltburn and the Talented Mr. Ripley. That took me so long to think of that title. But it's about a man who visits two siblings in their great big mansion in the south of France during summer. They have all these opulent parties, and the main character basically becomes obsessed with the brother, and they get into this relationship that turns more complicated and toxic with the page. I think I'm gonna save this for summer. I have so many books to read now anyway, so it will probably be summer by the time I get to this. But I'm very excited. I just love books about toxic rich people with like insane friendships. It all started with The Secret History, obviously, and ever since then I've been trying to chase that high. Hopefully this one will have a little bit of that feeling. Then we have come to the last category, which is gifts for my friends. So if you're one of my friends, please stop watching here, otherwise you will spoil the surprise. But yeah, a lot of my friends have birthdays around the start of the year, and since I live in Italy, I was not there for any of their birthdays, so when I visit the Netherlands, I have to catch up on all the gift giving. So I've been collecting here and there, and I also found some things in Edinburgh that I think would be perfect. First of all, this card, I got this at Wheel of Fate. I just thought the illustration was so cute. And then the other thing I got was at the Court Curio shop, which was on the Royal Mall, like really close to the castle, which was kind of like a witchy shop, kind of like a trinket store. But at the counter, they had all these gorgeous hairpins. And when I saw this, I was like, these are perfect for my friends. But they had one that I just thought they would both really love. So I asked her if she had another one, and she did. So I just got 2 of the same ones because I didn't want one friend to be jealous of the other if one got like a cuter one than the other. It is this gorgeous moth one, and I think they will really love it. I spent so much time in that shop googling online if I could take these on the plane, and basically the answer was just like 50-50. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so I just decided to try my luck, and they didn't clock it, so that's very good. The problem is I also now have to try and fly them to the Netherlands, so I'm gonna have to try my luck once more. So that was everything I got in Edinburgh. I'm so grateful that I had the chance to do this. I definitely want to be back sometime soon, and now I'm not gonna spend any money for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to stick around, please subscribe down here, and I will see you in the next video.